It's the Midnight Radio Show.
In a world without rules, Wednesdays only exist. What's up, guys? It's John here on What's Up Wednesday. Hey, Pete, Drew, how you doing?
Awesome,
Hey, what's
man.
up, John?
What are
What's
you
up?
doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm
gonna be poignant, Pete.
You're gonna be
this week.
poignant, Pete, Drew.
Distribution drill.
See, I don't know what
I like
I don't
it.
know
He's
what to
making
be. I
moves.
haven't. I've had a kind of a stressful week, and I don't know what to be tonight. What should I be? I was Jumpin' John last week. I kept it simple.
Wait, so you told us you had a stressful week because you want us to implement that into the name, or you're just venting?
Implement it into the name.
Stressful John.
Okay.
Like
Jumped up Johnny.
coked out John. No, but anywho,
Juniper Johnny. Because you're gonna need a lot of gin, which is derived from the juniper berry
Tomorrow-
to compensate for your stressful week.
Juxtaposition John.
juxtaposition, John. I like that
Ooh.
one. Tomorrow night will be a big gin and tonic night for John.
Well, you gotta wake up early though. The week never ends, you know.
I know.
My week never ends. It's crazy.
None of our weeks ever end.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You know what the
Nonstop,
thing is?
balls to the wall.
We're doing some Sunday, and we're gonna finish probably around I want to say if we're starting at 8, we'll probably finish around 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock.
It's such a short bit of material, and it's not too technical. So.
Maybe even 12. What am I gonna do for 6 hours between that and our meeting?
I don't know. You're gonna have to figure out
Get
something to do.
food.
I'm gonna bring.
Read a book.
Well, I have my iPad. I have my iPad here tonight.
You can come to my place. You can hang out. We'll watch some films from next week, huh?
Well,
we
no,
go
no,
see
we
Pacific
gotta
Rim.
Go see Pacific Rim.
Watch
We
Pacific
good to that?
Rim.
I saw Monsters University this week.
Was that good?
Monsters University was quite the dish. It
Really?
was a lot of fun
Okay.
to watch.
Is that Pixar
Yeah,
or
Pixar.
is it
It's
okay?
a sequel to Monsters Inc.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
So what's the plot? They were incorporated and did such a good job they could now teach, so they opened their university.
No, what happens is it's their kind of rise to be scarers, and
It's like a prequel, right?
It's a prequel to the whole movie. It's
Oh,
it's
okay,
them
so-
in college, and I don't want to say it's kind of like a Revenge of the Nerds type thing, but I mean,
But it is.
no,
but it's a total ripoff.
It's
and
not.
It's,
It's not.
exactly
It has those elements, but
It's probably not titties in
it
it.
completely no titties,
Yeah.
no monster titties.
That's disappointing.
No, but you know what? It was
Monster titties are huge in Japan.
in hentai. Tetsuo. Anyways, the movie really surprised me. You think it's gonna go one way because of a classic setup like that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it surprised me on many
Did you
different
see it in
levels.
3D?
I feel like that happens like every Pixar movie I see.
Almost.
I feel like it's like, wow, they have a lot of really good creative writers and people.
It happened. It
involved
happened
in
with
this.
me the most with The Incredibles.
I never saw The
enjoyed
Incredibles.
Incredibles,
It was good.
really good. But anyways, I'm kind of in the mood. I mean, it's midsummer, and
In the mood for what?
I'm in the mood. Let me
For
finish.
For steak?
I'm just guessing.
Find
Frozen
love.
yogurt.
Steak love?
Find love this week with John. Anyways, I've been in a horror mood. I watched Cabin in the Woods today.
First time?
First time.
Did you enjoy it?
I thought it was generally pretty good. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
big satirical piece that was pretty good.
Mhm.
And I'm working on some that's it's a little horror themed. You might have seen it in the drive, but it got me kind of in the mood to do research for horror stuff. And you know how the universe aligns when it's like you're looking for something or you want to do something, and then like a bunch of things arise that kind of help you out or kind of are in the premise of what
Everything
you're
falls
doing.
into place, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your life is happy and great. For some people, it's just what you want is never within reach, and you just got to give up and accept your job as a janitor.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you this week, Pete? Or how miserable are you?
Ooh, man. I'm a 5 on both. Wrap your head around that. Philosophical Pete. I just changed my name mid-podcast.
Wow, that just happened.
That's a What Up Wednesday first. John, you have a pad, a tablet. You're like Moses about to impart some What's Up Wednesday. You're in the mood for something. What is it, John?
Drop some
Lay it
knowledge
on
on
us,
me,
baby.
John.
Ten
drop it.
Commandments. I said, well, now that we have technology when we do the podcast
Right.
and we
It's
have
a great
access to
start.
the internet,
Reese sticks.
I guess I browse Reddit. I browse
Reddit?
I browse Reddit a lot, and I found a really great thread. And the name of the thread is "What's a story that you've heard that still gives you chills to this day?" And it's by Reddit user.
Some guy.
Some psychopath somewhere.
Mawcaf.
Indiana.
Mawcaf. Now, you get a lot of the stories written by like fan fiction people who are just like, it's 3 a.m. and there's a scratch on your door, and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and when they got out of the car, the hook was still there.
Because he was dead the whole time.
That's my favorite one. That's the best one.
Overall,
Can't beat
there
that.
there were some really good stories. Whether or not, I mean, you can tell that they're true, is it's the internet. What's true
Neither
on the
here nor
internet?
there.
I mean, porn isn't even real, so.
Well,
Well, some of it is, but it's
in some
kinda
places,
sad.
But it's just like, all right, I'm going to tell you one of the stories, and I'm going to, mention a couple of them, and I kind of want to pick you guys' brains on like chilling stories and stuff.
All
like
right,
that.
lay it on me.
This one is
Sounds fun.
This one's more of a real to life story where it's what had happened was and surprisingly enough, there were a lot of World War I and a lot of World War II stories in here.
I like that.
on
I
this
just started playing
thread?
Bioshock Infinite, so I'm starting to get more into that
Oh,
sort
hi.
of World War I
Before
era.
we get too far away, how are you enjoying it?
I love
It's
it. It's a piece of
really
art.
good,
It's
isn't it?
amazing. Anyway, lay some stories on it. We can.
There's one where a guy was taking a eugenics class, and they had a bunch of Holocaust survivors come in. And the first guy told this story. He said he was rummaging. He was in a concentration camp, and he was rummaging around some garbage camp for some food. And one of the Nazis had seen him, and he was about to execute him because I guess that wasn't allowed or anything like that.
really,
Yeah.
really
Can't even go through the
For the
garbage.
garbage can. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And so all of a sudden, he was on his knees, gun to the back of his head, and a thick fog rolled through, and somebody had shot the Nazi. No, somebody had hit the Nazi on the back of the head with a shovel and killed him, and then the fog rolled out, and he survived. And he says, whoever had saved my life that day, I wish I could see him again to thank him. I don't know where he is anymore, this or that, and blah, blah, blah. So, a few more.
You saw a person though.
You have to assume it was a person, not like a fucking ghost with a shovel.
the fog of justice.
I don't know. It's a fog.
Thought of justice. So, anyways, three more survivors tell their stories, and then the fourth one comes. He starts mentioning a story when he was in a concentration camp. He saw somebody. He was about to go scrounging around in a garbage can for some food. He saw somebody doing the same thing, and one of the Nazis was about to kill this guy. So he saw a thick fog rolling through, and he picked up a shovel, and he went and he killed the Nazi with the shovel. It was these two guys in the same room that hadn't seen each
Wow.
other for 60 years, and they lived.
Or never saw each other. Period.
They never saw each
But
other again, but they were
effective.
living 4 miles away from each other.
Oh my god!
I mean, how, like, I know that's not like the scary theme of the thread with
But
a lot of
it's
the
like
stories.
string theory almost. It's
It-
like everything's
I mean-
connected. It's crazy.
But I mean, think about it. Think about somebody saving
Where did
your
they
life.
live? Nowadays?
It didn't mention the town or anything, but it did mention the fact that once they realized that their stories were the same, they realized that they were the two guys involved
Right.
in the
That's
story.
fascinating, and it also sucks for the other two guys that went up in between. No one's gonna remember their stories of plight. They're probably amazing stories. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, those two guys!"
But just imagine somebody saving your, and this comes back to the time. I'll have a physicist friend come
But
on.
that's
and
so
talk-
weird, though. It is kind of sticking with like the spooky theme or supernatural theme. Because why does the fog roll in like right as the guy draws his gun?
And maybe it's just, I mean,
the power of Judaism.
it's just, I don't know. I mean, we talked about space last week and aliens and all that jazz, and it's just like, there is, reading threads like this always make me realize that there's so much shit out there in the world that you just kind of don't think about on a daily basis. I mean, one of the
Condoms. Yeah, not thinking about that.
one of the stories is
When you talk about
Oh, I just did. I said it.
condoms.
Oh, there we go again. Sorry, you were saying.
One of the stories is just like you don't condoms.
That's a 3 count. That's a 3 count.
It's a hat trick.
it's like Pee-wee's Playhouse at this point.
And you don't think about like all the bad in this world. And here's one of the stories. It's very short, so I'll read it real quick. And this is all in quotations. None of this happened to me.
Is this spooky thread or is this a little?
This is the spooky thread.
Ooh, is it
Um,
Now,
me or
is it
just
actually
get?
spooky? Because if it's not, I'm gonna have to flag it. Because the last one would have been flagged, in my opinion, honestly.
He did disclaim it. To be fair,
Well,
he was like,
it
"This
says
isn't really."
it says that
It's not
gives you the
spooky.
chills to this day.
Ooh.
Not like
I was expecting spooky.
I just will say, I pull the same joke on my mother every year. She likes to decorate her apartment for Halloween and every holiday for that matter. But every time I go in on Halloween and visit them around that time, I always go in there. I'm like, is it me or did it get like I would pretend to be like cold and like shrug my shoulders and like spookier in here, and every time she's like, shut up, I hate you. Oh my god.
No, but
Just gonna stop like decorating now. It's your fault. I can't even enjoy it
Just
now.
have to be condescending and shitty. Thanks for pushing me out. She didn't even. She got a C-section. What a wimp.
She can't even say that now.
your mom sounds like a stand-up lady, Pete.
It's probably because like my dick was like too big, and like and like my
Couldn't fit.
and like my muscles were like too well developed.
was
Anyway,
just
sorry. Let's scare the shit out of me, John. Or spook. Sorry. Is there a difference between scared and spooked?
I
Are they synonyms?
I don't know.
think they fell into the same word in the thesaurus.
Probably. I think spooked is. I feel like spooked is more immediate, whereas scared is like a gradual.
And one used to be a racial slur.
This is true.
Yeah.
But anyways,
So there that is.
Just to bring us back to a dark time in American history. Okay. 3 white guys talking about ghosts. Let's go. Hit us with a Johnny.
no. But this one, this one's. It says, this is from Pterodactyl Eyes. My friend told me.
Is that the user?
Yeah, that's the user, Pterodactyl Eyes.
My friend him on Facebook.
I know. My friend told me about
Or her.
something that happened to her when she was younger, at about 8 or 9 years old. She was walking home from school and got her key out to let herself in her house. Her single mom worked and came home late night on weekdays. As she reached to put the key in her door, her mom opened up in a dressing gown, having left work sick. And instead of saying hi to her, she looked straight past her daughter and immediately said, "Who are you?" My friend turned around, and a man in a long coat hurried back down the path and down the street. Being ill that day, her mother had potentially saved her daughter's life from something horribly happening to her.
Wow.
Think about it. If this guy knew that it was a single mom and she was living alone, that it's just like he was probably like staking out this little girl for a couple days.
Right.
And,
And he never saw the mom at night come home, basically?
Well, maybe he realized she went home during the day and
He
then
saw
he
the
would
work
leave.
schedule.
Yeah, he saw the work schedule and learned it. Like,
What a piece of shit.
yeah, I mean, like, imagine that. Just like,
So he was in the house.
no, he
No,
was
he was gonna be in the house.
he was following the little girl to the door. He didn't think anybody was home.
Okay.
So think about it. Like, you open like your mom opens the door and you're like, "Oh, hey, mom, what are you doing?" And your mom's just like, "Who are you?"
What a fucking, I don't know, violation of your privacy. I'd be like, time to move. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, there's another great.
Is there a prologue there that tells you what happened?
No prologue. There's another great story.
I like that better than like the supernatural thing. I thought it was gonna be like the man like walked away and like into the wall or something. Crap,
no.
thankfully. Okay.
It's it's like a couple of these stories I've read, and we never talk about tragedy here on What's Up Wednesday because it's all comedy about condoms and dicks. But
Dick pics.
Chiefly.
and excuse me, and some of the stories I've read on here are the people who have been like part of like school shootings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the police get there or the firefighters get there and they're they're looking at the dead bodies and they're trying to figure out what to do. But that's not the scary. I mean, like, seeing dead bodies is sad, and those whole massacre things are sad. But like, I'm talking about like the things you don't think about. Somebody who has a very short one here is I was talking to someone who was first on the scene of the Virginia Tech massacre. He told me, although the sight of the dead bodies was disturbing, what really stays with him was the sound of all the cell phones ringing from the people trying to contact them.
Weird.
I mean, you don't think about that.
A lot
right?
of shitty custom ringtones, I'm sure. In moments of sheer terror, like all the
Yeah.
single ladies.
But
What was that? 2007?
Echoing.
Something like that.
yeah,
So a
I think
lot of
so.
shitty music, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was-
Shitty ringtones.
2007 was a notoriously shitty year for music.
Terrible.
If memory serves.
But like,
Terrible.
imagine that. Imagine being like part of a shooting, and then it's just
I
like,
don't want to imagine that.
all right. I'm not saying. I'm saying walking into it, like walking into the scene. Like,
Right.
let's say you were a cop, and then it's like you and I and Pete, we don't think about these things. Like, think about all the cell phones going off, saying like, "Oh my God, I have to get in contact with my son or daughter to see if
Yeah.
they're okay," and the cell phones just keep going off.
See,
and
I don't
off
get
and off
everyone
and
like panicking and staying huddled up and like trying to usher people out of rooms. Like, I would immediately find a window and like dive through it and just like run to like I couldn't talk. you
Now,
know?
I think
Unless there was someone I loved or whatever.
I'm-
you know.
Some of that bullshit.
Then I'll be like a hero and like die with honor.
I have a lot of stories tonight, but I know I told
Story
you,
Johnny.
I know I told you this, Pete, but I never mentioned it on the podcast. My friend Sketch was he was a fraternity. He was in a fraternity.
Wait, his name is Sketch?
like Connor, but we call him Sketch.
Okay.
Um,
I thought maybe like your friend had like a sketch or something about a school
Is he
shooting.
a sketchy? Is he a sketchy person?
we call him Sketch because he's just weird.
Okay.
He's just he's like off the wall.
Call it like you see it. I love it.
Yeah, but they were hazing a new member of a fraternity, and he was an ROTC, and they chased him up a second floor into a bedroom. This kid dove out of a second-story window, tucked and rolled, and then ran away from the fraternity because they were all trying to get him to haze him.
Nice.
And they chased him up, and they cornered him, and he saw an open window, and he just jumped out. He jumped out of the second-story window and got away. And they're all like, fuck that.
What a dick.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you should have just taken that shit like a man.
Like, do you want a banana, like, half a foot up your asshole?
He knew what he was getting into. If it involves, he's got to get a banana up his ass.
But
then
I
you know
think he-
what?
I
I signed up for that shit.
I've never understood that. It's like you're gonna hang out with these dudes and they're gonna like humiliate you sexually for a while, and then you're gonna have to pay to hang out with them. And everyone's like, sign me up. Like that's so weird.
I'm
to me.
totally in. I would love to go Greek.
I don't need
Does
to
that
pay
offend you as a Greek
for
man?
friends.
No,
Do you get offended by the whole Greek life thing?
no, I have a book called Gay Greek Myths.
Is it just everything about
Wait, so
fraternities?
they're myths that are gay, or like
It's just like all the things that a lot of people think Greeks started as homosexuals.
like, such as?
Yeah, I know that they like had like orgies or whatever, but I don't credit them with starting gay stuff.
They
Like,
also, they
it
also had
predates
sex
them.
with little boys.
Yeah. Well, I think the Romans more so.
Everyone was fucked up back then.
Yeah. Well, people still do it. It never went away.
Yeah.
They're just people fucking
Yeah, but we-
kids always.
People just hide it.
We call them child molesters and pedophiles nowadays.
Well, yeah. Well, but the ones we know about. You know what I mean?
Are you trying to tell us something, Pete?
No. Here's a good time to take a break. John, you got some more spooky stories? I'll be right back. Got to call my lawyer. This is What Up Wednesday.
Do you ever feel like you're alone? Do you ever feel like no one really understands you? You're just wondering what keeps you going. Well, I've got a crazy idea. Scroll to the top of our Facebook page and like Midnight Treehouse Productions. Will it help your loneliness? No. But you should do it.
Oh,
just
yeah?
kidding.
Okay.
I have no skill in that at all.
Nor do I really, but
I can pretend and see what I can come up with.
Well, luckily, the Treehouse has a private jet and a private
Yeah, we'll just
musician.
pay someone to do it.
who actually lives on the private jet.
Yeah.
He lives in a private
He lives
jet?
on the
Who does?
private jet.
Oh, okay.
The composer.
So, it's not Halloween, but we got some spooky, scary stories for you guys tonight.
Yeah.
Just talking about random shit that's gone on in the world and all that jazz.
Be Halloween in what, 4 months?
What?
Be Halloween in what, like 4 months? 3.5 months?
Yeah.
Good.
We should do a live podcast from. This won't ever happen. We should do a live podcast from the Halloween parade.
From the
it would just be
What would it be?
with a bunch of sluts.
What was your
hot sluts.
costume supposed to be this year? Because Halloween basically got canceled this year because of the hurricane.
What do you mean?
The hurricane.
I was very upset.
Oh,
I don't really go all out for Halloween. I never think of a good costume till like December.
Are you
and I
like
forget about it?
Halloween guy where you're just like, I'll just bring my shirt. And
Yeah, I know. I'm usually like
I'm an
working
Italy
and
manager.
busy. Yeah, I just show up with like a hat and like that's it.
my hat.
Yeah,
just at a trench coat.
yeah. I actually started doing that at a rather young age. I remember when I was 15, I decided to go trick or treating around the neighborhood because I thought it'd be fun.
Big candy.
But yeah, exactly, and like just to go around. But I didn't want to wear a costume, so I just go to the doors in like a jacket, like just like a normal person. They'd be like, "Who are you?" I'd be like, Joe Pesci." They'd be like, "All right."
Here's your candy, I guess.
I normally wear only a G-string in my day-to-day life, so this is crazy for me.
Where do you buy your G-strings from?
I was joking. I don't buy them.
God, John.
They're donated to me
Never
by
mind.
my
I don't,
fans,
I don't wear
by my
G-strings.
fan following.
I don't wear G-strings.
You want it?
G-strings.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like floss for your butt.
So you've worn one before and you want
No.
to wear it again.
You enjoyed
Oh, yeah.
flossing your tuchus?
You can floss it with other stuff. You don't need
But my
to. You need
gooch.
a,
God.
that'd be. I don't understand. Yeah, it's like butt floss. You wouldn't leave floss in your teeth all day and walk around. It'd be gross.
Why did
You would just put the G-string on, floss
we
out your
wanted to-
butt, take it off, and put on boxers like a
We
man.
wanted to talk about scary stories, but we're talking
This
about
is
pretty
scary. I'm picturing you in a G-string. I'm terrified.
It'd be like
Not
Homer
emotionally equipped.
Simpson in that episode when they go to Rio.
Yes,
And he just goes, "What?" It's like, "Why does my bathing suit keep shrinking?" And it's just like keeps shrinking up in him.
and his like back fat.
So now I have a question for you guys. What's like the most chilling thing that has ever happened to you guys? like something that you thought where you were just you had no control and that might be it.
Like I might die.
Like just something that just scared you to your core.
I think I already talked about that. No, yeah, well, it's on the right vein. I have to think about it. I was going to say I already had a pregnancy scare. That was pretty terrible. I thought my life was over.
That was it. That's what chilled you down.
Oh
to
my
the core.
God. Oh, I was going to have some like Spanish baby that would take care of the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, we did talk.
That was bad.
That's-
Yeah,
that's
that was
pretty
scary. Yeah.
Drew, what about you?
I have a couple weird things. One of them,
What's the weirdest?
not the weirdest, but the scariest. I guess I almost got ran off the road one time.
Wait, someone like ramming you like chariots style?
I was with my buddy Daniel. We were driving his lake house, and where the road was, there was like what's that? Just the side, the guardrail was on our right side, right? And we were in the right lane, and there was an 18-wheeler that pulled up next to us, and like past the guardrails, like you're tumbling basically, like it's like whatever.
Right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
one of those roads.
So we're driving, and this 18-wheeler comes like by us in the left lane, and we're right in that middle like sweet spot in between the truck where it's like you're right in the middle basically. So it's like if you go straight, it's gonna take a little while. If you go behind, it's gonna take a little while. The guy puts on his signal, doesn't see us, and starts going like
Oh,
fast.
God.
I was like, oh shit! And Daniel was driving. He just like he fucking floored it. I don't know what the hell he did, but like it looked like something out of James Bond because the car like just cleared as the truck was going into the right lane.
How awesome would it be if he was like, as he was doing it? It's like, you psycho!
It was crazy with the car. I don't know.
That's
yeah, but I actually
insane.
I really thought for a second
Like, thought
I
you
was
were gonna
we're
die.
fall off
Yeah.
this
You-
thing.
that was it.
Yeah, that's the end.
That kind of shit's scary. I was on a shoot in New Jersey.
You were at a shooting in New
doing
Jersey?
something-
I had a gun pulled on me once. That was really scary, too.
Wait, why didn't you tell that? You're like, oh,
That's much scarier. A gun, it's like I get shot in the back of the head while I'm running away like a coward, which I did. And I would just drop dead and like, fall down. And it's like, at least I knew it was coming. It's not like 30 years of hell. Like, I think that's much worse.
You're really scared about a baby, right?
Like, dude,
I'm,
avoiding that at all costs.
I'm gonna get one from an orphanage and just like leave it on your doorstep.
This is my daddy's
terrible
Pete
because
Mugino.
you're
It has like a
killing
letter.
baby.
It has a letter like the kid from Big Daddy. Like just
Oh my god.
the World Series, like the Blue Jays. Joe Carter.
I did a thing once where I had a bunch of excess Krispy Kreme donuts from this like fundraiser we were doing in high school for like a singing group I was in, and we had like so many extra, too much for me to eat. I already gave it away to all these families, so I decided I'd give it away to families I've never met. But the way I decided to do this, I went to Walmart with my friend, and we bought a basket and like a light blue like baby thing. We wrapped up donuts with it. I wrote a note that said, "Please take care of my baby," and then we put salt water like in an eyedropper to make like tear marks on it. Make it look like someone was crying on the note. And then we ding dong ditched it at people's houses. It was really
Box of
fun.
Donuts.
That's how I spent my Sunday afternoons when I was 14. But yeah, so that's some scary stuff. What's the scary stuff that happened to you, John?
I was in New Jersey, and have you
Already
guys
scary.
I know, right? Have you guys read a lot of the weird New Jersey stuff?
I heard some stuff about like some houses by the shore and stuff like that that are kind of crazy.
Wait, like it's like notoriously haunted?
Well, there's a magazine called Weird New Jersey that just covers all like the weird shit in New Jersey,
Right.
like the Jersey Devil and Midgetville and the Jackson Whites and a bunch of other like crazy shit.
Interesting.
And I was in New Jersey doing a shoot, and we went to go see Hot Fuzz, and we were talking about going to see like Jennifer's Road. It was where a girl got killed on prom night.
Okay.
And I'm scared shitless of because if I see a
It's
ghost,
supposedly haunted by
Yeah.
her.
yeah, if I see a fucking ghost, like that's it. Like I know I'm crazy. So,
Right.
we read all the shit, and we go by the road, and nothing happens. And so, I start reading about weird New Jersey, and I read about these cannibals who eat people, and this place called Shades of Death Road, where it's just like a bunch of weird shit happens, and the Devil Tree, where it's just like you see a red car chasing you late at night if you go to it, and it'll like try and ram you off the road like it's a ghost car.
They're all over
So-
these highways.
So I'm reading all this scary shit, and I'm sleeping in this director's basement.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So you're reading about the place, but you're not there.
Yeah. I'm just reading on my laptop a bunch of shit about weird New Jersey, and I lock the back door to make sure nobody gets in. And
Smart move. Never knows out there.
And it's probably about 3:30, like 3:45 in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear tapping on the window.
All of the windows?
It's like,
Oh, Jesus.
wait a second. It's like it's towards the basement windows, and it's just like, and I wake up because I'm a light sleeper, and I was just like, fuck. I was like, this is it. I was like, they're coming to take me away. And so, you hear tapping on all the windows around the basement floor, and then you start hearing it on the door, and I guess they had one of those big windows. I don't know
Bay
what
window?
you call it. Like a bay window,
Okay.
yeah. And, you hear knocking on the bay window. And finally, I wake up the DP who's sleeping on the couch next to me, and I'm just like, his name's John, too. And I'm like, John, there's somebody outside. He goes, where? I was like, don't you hear the tapping? He goes, yeah, but I don't see them. So they come back. And they start tapping on the window where he's at. And he goes, oh, it's Zach. I locked one of the guys out of the house
Oh, my God.
who had left to go talk to his girlfriend. I locked him out. I locked him out at midnight, and it's pouring rain. And I locked him out for like 4 hours.
Damn. I can't believe he was just like tapping on the window. I'd be like, not even like, hey, asshole. Like screaming
I
that
was
a lot.
at my parents' house one time, and like my grandparents were there, like whatever, and they were all going out to dinner, but I didn't feel too good, so I was like, I was gonna stay home, and so they all leave, like, all right, I'll see you later. So they head out, and I hear them leave. I'm in my room upstairs, and I hear the front door open and slam shut.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, maybe they forgot something. So I opened up my door. I was like, hey, what'd you forget? And I hear nothing.
Nothing.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, hello? Nothing, right? So I'm bugging out. I go downstairs and get a bat and like go to like down to the basement and stuff, and I can't, like, there's nobody. I can't find anybody, whatever. So I called them in the car, or no, I waited till I got home. I was like, did you come back into the house and then leave through the front door? And my dad was like, no. I actually locked the front door before I left. And that's the door that I heard fly open and slam shut. I was like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, maybe somebody left the house.
Oh, that's even weirder. I didn't even think about that.
That's much worse. Yeah, they're like watching it and stuff.
I was telling Drew earlier about a story where it's just like kind of you see a killer or like a slasher or somebody weird who's like coming to get you to do bad things to you. You see them from like a window, and you see them walking towards you, and you're like, oh, at least. And that's the illusion with horror. If you're in a house, you're like, oh, I'm in a white ivory tower. I know this place. They can't get me in here because I can hide somewhere, or I can see the point of access where they're coming from. And that's never the case in any horror movie. But, I read a really good, I guess it was more so a story, and I read a couple of these where it's just like, there's a girl in her house, and she sees somebody outside her back door window, and he's waving and he's smiling, and it's kind of like really ominous, and you're just like, oh, this is kind of creepy. Let me call the police. And she calls the police, and she sees him, walking towards him, and she's like, oh fuck.
Towards the house, or
Yeah, towards the house from like, let's say the backyard or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a second. And the biggest thing they gave to example this was snow. It's like, he's standing in the snow, and he's just standing there waving, and he starts walking towards the house. But then sooner or later, you realize that there are no footprints in the snow, and you realize that he's coming from behind you.
oh,
The reflection you see is in the glass window.
Someone's got to put that in a film in some capacity. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's a good.
I mean,
that's
like,
a good
how-
little image to steal.
Like, it's like shit like that is creepy as hell, and
But you'd have to be looking at him, I guess, from straight on.
yeah.
Because I was picturing her at the bedroom window looking down.
No, there was a good story in here about a guy whose neighbors were brutally murdered and killed, and they never found the guy. And eventually this kid who was probably like 10 at the time. Eventually he saw like a peeping tom, like kind of looking through his window. And,
Creeper.
that shit kind of scares you. Just peeking and peering in. And,
Yeah, to get the fuck out of my tree. Like,
but but eventually, he moved away, he grew up, and he was watching Cold Case one day, and it was about the murder that took place in his neighborhood when he was younger. And they found out the guy who had murdered the neighbors was a peeping Tom. And they figured out it was the guy who was staring into windows for like 20 years. But the other thing he was doing aside from peeping into windows was he was peeing into the houses. Like from the windows. Yeah, if the windows were open, he would pee into the
wait,
house.
how, like the first story, or like how? Like how?
No, they're the same story.
Yeah, but how? Like he's in a tree and he'd like arc his pee stream through
I
the
guess
window.
so. Or maybe if he was on the first floor and like
Just looking. What?
Like he's peeping into your windows.
That's
and he's
so weird to
peeing.
me, though. It's just like all these unexplained murders, and it's like the guy was allegedly peeping Tom, and no one thinks it's the guy who everyone's seeing in their trees for 20 years in the neighborhood.
No, the peeping
He's a
Tom
peeing
was
Tom.
it was the same guy. The guy who made the murder, who did the murder, was a peeping Tom as well.
Okay, so it's different peeping Toms. Only one's a murderer.
No. It's the same guy. The peeping Tom murdered the neighbors.
That's what I mean. So it's like
Yeah.
everyone knows there's this peeping Tom about, and like they know that this murderer was allegedly a peeping Tom. Why isn't anyone like, hey, like weirdo in the tree guy in the neighborhood who already
He's
should have been
peeing-
arrested?
he's peeing
It's
into
clearly-
windows.
Yeah, he's peeing in my window and he's like
They were dead the
murdering
whole
people.
You know, before we get too far along, you know, there
The urine was poo the whole time. That's my classy joke for the night. You're welcome, ladies.
There are two more stories I want to tell.
Can we take a quick break and then we'll get to them? We'll wrap up on those.
Okay, sounds good.
I know. I'm sorry. We hate
It's okay.
leaving you.
It's okay.
But we have to. We have.
I'm all chat.
We have to
tonight.
promote this other excellent podcast. Take a listen to this.
This is Heil 68.
And this is the Eroica.
We invite you all to subscribe to the Pedal to the Metal podcast, covering everything video games.
We cover games, hardware, trends, what's hot and what's not.
And by golly, we have a lot of fun doing it. Ain't that right, Eroica?
That's right, Heil. We sure do have a swell time. So look for the link to our Pedal to the Metal podcast in this video.
We can be found on iTunes and YouTube. Subscribe today. Aw, yeah.
So, as I was saying, there are pretty much two, maybe 2.5 more stories I want to tell.
Okay.
2.5.
Yeah, the 2.5. One,
Half a story is just like there once was a murderer.
one that
That's
creeped
all I
me
know,
out
though.
the most was
The end, question mark?
One about these catacombs in the Ukraine called the Odessa catacombs. A bunch of people had gone spelunking into the catacombs, and I guess it might be multi-tiered. It doesn't. Wikipedia, I know, doesn't have a lot of information on it. But a woman had gotten separated from her group because her rope broke, so she was stuck
Ew.
within the catacombs. They found her
Now,
body
these are-
2 years later.
Ugh. Wait, did she fall in like a bottomless pit into the catacombs, or she just got lost down there?
It seems like she got
And
lost.
just like
in them.
starved to death?
Yeah.
Terrible. And it's like an actual catacomb, right? Like with like it's a body hut, you know?
Yeah, that's the
Just
thing.
skeletons.
It's just they say it's. Hold on, let me look here.
This is why you shouldn't go out in nature, guys.
Yeah.
Stay
Well, that's
inside-
man-made.
Stay inside
I
of your
guess.
call.
Well, whatever.
Well, I guess it's both. Yeah, I went to the catacombs in Paris, and that was pretty trippy.
Yeah.
The catacombs are 60 meters below sea level. It consists of 3 different levels.
60
But wouldn't you know if you're about to fall in that, though?
Well, her rope broke. That was the thing. I guess they were climbing down to a different tier, and her rope broke.
So she might like shattered her hip, and then like just like kind of
I mean,
until she died. Ooh,
it was
terrible.
It was just like her flashlight had died. Just imagine going in the pitch black, and they don't know the exact map of these because they're so big. Nobody's fully mapped them out.
These sound fascinating though. Odessa catacombs, you said?
Yeah, they're in the Ukraine.
So like, are they just ancient? Do we even know like which dynasty they're from? Or?
The Odessa catacombs are an area network of tunnels that consists of 3 levels stretching out under the city surrounding the region of Odessa, Ukraine. History and name. The first underground stone mines started to appear in the 19th century while vigorous construction took place.
Oh, so
in
they're pretty
Odessa.
new.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
16. All right.
So I mean, just imagine being in complete darkness for like let's say 2, 3, maybe 4 days, and you get dehydrated to death.
It'd be like the pit and the pendulum kind of, except with all the torture devices.
That Pit in the Pendulum kind of really creeps me out.
Well, yeah, it's some guy being like tortured by someone he can't see in the darkness.
Yeah,
that
but
should creep you out.
See, but that's the thing. You know, that's the creepiest thing. It's not just being alone and in the dark and having no food or this or that, but just imagine it's like. Did you ever see The Descent?
No.
It's like these kids go spelunking in a cave and they find out that
When the ropes breaks and
no. It's actually they go through the caves and they
It's a
actually
horror movie, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it actually got pretty decent reviews back in
Yeah.
2007.
yeah,
2008.
I've heard it was good. I've heard people say the descent was interesting.
And it's just like you find out that there's just these people who were just living in the caves the whole time, just like that was their thing, and they were cannibals. So anybody who came down into the caverns,
like
they
mole
ate.
people.
Yeah, You'll never escape the fortress of the mole.
All right, so that's one of the stories.
Woman dies.
What?
Woman dies. Or is that the 0.5?
I would say that's the 0.5.
Okay, so we got two more.
Women dying is kind of a 0.5 type thing. A lot of the stories on here were.
I'll leave that open to interpretation. Maybe it was a good thing. It's a big maybe.
Another one of the stories I read a lot of, and I read a lot of these, were people who would find, they would kind of be traveling in the middle of nowhere. Like the road you mentioned, it's kind of like a one-lane road and
Right.
woods on both sides. And I read a couple stories where it was just, you would see an accident in the middle of the fucking road. Like imagine, I mean, have you ever driven anywhere like really rural?
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's just like pitch black.
Oh yeah, it's
and
just
you're
like not a paved road, and you're in the woods.
The
It
sooner
wouldn't
I get
show
out,
up
the
on the
better.
GPS type
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
You're like on the dirt. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, you're on planet Earth.
Mhm.
Some of the stories I read, and I read a lot of these, were just like you see accidents in the middle of the road, or like people strewn out on the road with like blood and stuff, and they're just kind of like, oh, well, it's like, what do I do? What's your first reaction? You want to get out of the car and help.
Mm.
And some of the stories I read, one guy was a Marine who was just said, this doesn't seem exactly right. Like an accident in the middle of the road and a body just kind of strewn out from the car. And so he had his gun on him, and he pulled up a couple, I would say maybe he said 50 feet before the accident. I'm not going to go look through because it's like thousands of comments, but this is one of the stories I read. And he had his hand on his gun, and as he pulled in front of them, he turned around, and just like all the bodies are just sitting up, and people are coming out of the woods, and it's just
So it was like a trap.
yeah.
Did he like open fire? Or?
He got back in his car and he drove away.
I would pop one of them.
Yeah,
You're like,
you gotta
fuck.
shoot at least one of them.
It's like, yeah, there's some fuckery going on here. Why are you like staging an accident? Wait, so when did he see the bodies move? He turned around for a second.
He pulled his car up, and as he got out of his car, he turned around, and all the bodies were just kind of.
So he drove past the accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's another story I heard where it's very similar. It's just like a guy who I think he was an EMT or he knew an EMT, and he's just like, I do a lot of traveling. He's like, why don't I just take the mountain roads? Just take the scenic route for once, because I
Mhm.
take all these highways to get places.
And that was his first mistake.
Yeah. And so he takes the scenic road, and he gets up to, and then once again he gets up to like a fucking car accident where it's just like two cars in the middle of the road, bodies strewn out on the road. And as he's about to get out, he's just like, again, this doesn't seem exactly like
Yeah,
a car accident.
I would immediately be like, is someone filming something or like what's going on?
Yeah. So and like the Marine guy, he pulled probably about 100 feet, or maybe not 100 feet, maybe like 50 yards in front of the accident, just to say like, well, this doesn't seem right. Maybe I should just keep my distance.
Mm.
Once again, in this case, the bodies were strewn out on the road.
Mm.
It's just like he gets out of his car and he turns around, and the bodies from the accident are just sitting up, and like 50 people come out of the bushes.
Just kind of looking at him.
Yeah, they're just all looking at him.
But who
Maybe
are
they're
these
just so
people?
bored in these backwoods towns. That's like all they have to do.
We're gonna fuck with the Yankees when they drive through. When they
And
fuck up.
they all have like bets on whether they stop.
Yeah, but that's a sad thing. Like, imagine, like I mentioned, there's
Where were they both in like the similar area?
yeah, like bare woods, nothing.
But in like America?
yeah,
And where, like West Coast, East Coast, Middle America?
I think the Marine was Middle America, and I think the one guy was the EMT guy.
like
was
more
a
like
little
where are we talking? Like
down
Kentucky sort of range? Or?
kind of like that
Ozarky.
Virginia, Kentucky-ish, kind of that hillbilly.
I'm gonna look into this. This is fascinating,
These are really like,
and I
mean,
kind of want it to happen to me. 2 for 2. I
Yeah.
want to survive,
Like-
and then I would like to stay just a little longer, like film it. You know,
What do you think they would do to you?
I would do a vine of it, make it a wacky thing where it keeps coming back to my face, and be like, "Whoa!"
You gotta shoot them if they're coming after you, though.
But it's just like, I talk about a lot of like malice in the world tonight. It's just like, would you get eaten? Would you get your legs cut off? Be like, hey,
Like-
Bill's got a new pair of legs today.
I wouldn't stick around long enough to find out.
I would love to go in with like a Humvee with like a big mounted gun with like a bunch of buddies and have like a megaphone. We're like, "What do you want?" Like that thing, you know.
I'd be more scared of those people than the aliens. You know, try and fuck the aliens. You don't try and fuck these people. You are going after these.
Every week
Right.
we will present Drew with a group of people or beings, and he will say whether he would fuck them or not.
Not
At least
fucking
try.
not fucking these people.
Drew, what do you think they do?
You're
to you?
you're running, bro.
Well, you can't because you're not related to him.
What do you think they do to you, Drew?
To me,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to know the terrible things they do to me. My
Your beautiful body.
my beautiful buttocks. And
Well, that's the thing.
supple
Like,
breasts.
I guess this must happen because there are so many horror movies and stuff. Like you think about like Deliverance or like Cabin in the or not Cabin in the Woods, Hills Have Eyes sort of thing. It's like, so is this like a real thing derived from fact, or is this just a weird experiment?
Well,
Like,
I think you know what the thing is. It's just like the fact of the matter is there's story and then there's fiction. Because the thing is, it's just like you read all this shit about like dragons in the Middle Ages, but we don't have fucking dragons.
right.
But so it's like,
Well, here's the
like
weird
what
thing
were
about
the dragons though?
Well, I don't know because I mean, like every culture has like some sort of depiction of dragons, like from 15th century. Like China had dragons, Japan
dinosaurs,
had
too.
dragons.
What?
It's dinosaurs.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe just some sort of leftover
Pterodactyls.
creatures that were dying out.
Pterodactyls. They turned into birds, man.
Yeah.
Raptors,
Maybe.
birds. Jurassic Park taught us this, man. You should know this.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they like the God hates fags sort of people? Like just a big group of, you know what I mean? You know those people. What's that church called?
The
Are the people that like?
Westboro Baptist.
Yeah,
those
like
people are fucking nuts.
that's what I mean, though. So is it like that? It must be like I guess it's like Southern uneducated people can really round themselves into a malicious group very easily.
Well, it's like the
Or is
village
it-
down there too. So
Or who knows? Maybe this is like some sort of cult or something, and that's how they get people in. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing I was telling Jason's brother Adam about Waco, Texas, because he goes to school in Waco. For everybody who wants to find Adam,
we're
Here's
looking,
a social.
we're looking at you, Hicks, in the woods.
Waco, Texas is the only place they have a lot of cults, or a lot of cults and a lot of cult activity down there because it's the only river in the world that runs like parallel to Jerusalem, or like a river in Jerusalem, or longitudinal or latitudinal, one of those things.
Okay,
It's just like they have a lot of cults because it has a lot of religious.
so they can
segments.
just draw it back to there.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a lot of competition between the cults, where it's like we rated out Thursday, Earl? You know this.
Get out.
It's like the go-to cult.
and it's scary. It's scary
Factor.
because I was telling you guys earlier about my aunt's farmhouse, and before then, it has a lot of history. It was built around by there were still Indians living out there, and it's just like a girl milking a cow, and the Indians come along and they just fucking scalp her. And like when my aunt and uncle bought the house, they had the headstones from the previous owner. They had the headstone of the girl who died at the house, and
The bodies were there still, or did they just
I guess
or they
they're-
collected headstones?
I think they're collected headstones. I'm not 100%.
I mean, it's a piece
sure.
of history. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's not
It-
the most enlightening.
I wouldn't want to
part.
decorate with them though. I've seen,
Well,
Yeah.
it's cool, but it's
That's like
terrifying
some Led
because
Zeppelin shit.
one
Yeah.
day I'll take you
Jimmy
guys out
Page.
there and put things in
Poltergeist.
your butt. And
Where do they live? They're in Texas.
No, they live in Washington, Pennsylvania. It's
Okay.
kind of
Ooh, see, I don't like that.
really.
I feel like
Pennsylvania,
that
yeah,
like
it's-
Ohio, Pennsylvania, backwoodsy area starts to get like really creepy.
Oh, trust me, it's gonna
Like
get
I think
real.
it's worse than the deep south. Like
Really?
because it's more secluded. It's more like hill people. It's not like where everyone's like, yeah, buddy, fuck you. Like it's not like that. Like I can deal with that. Like they're kind of like scary, like in their own right. Yes, but it's like the people. It's like it's just like
the
that's
dark,
like
the dark northern version of it.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
it's like the dude who lives alone, like in the South. Like I feel like your standard, like quote unquote redneck, is like wants a lot of land because he wants his guns and like he wants like a big truck to drive around in. And I kind of get that. Like he like is like a libertarian, sort of almost in his own right. I feel like it's the people. It's like, well, it's just been like me and like the three people in my family, and we've been up here for like generations. It's like they were the people who ran away from the Union. When we had the 13 colonies, and it's just like they just like kind of like fucked their family members and just kind of lived up in that shack up there.
Well, it's it's really scary because the two things I always worry about, and my aunt's old farmhouse, she sold it to the gas company now because they're doing a lot of fracking out there. So she doesn't live there, but she lives 5 minutes down the road on an even higher hill. And the thing that scares the shit out of me is every time I go there is they have one of those back doors that leads into the basement, but that's level with the rest of the house. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure I follow.
It's just kind of like the house is on a hill, and if you go around to like the kind of barbecue area
Oh,
where
yeah,
a
yeah,
pool
yeah.
is, it's like you have a door into the garage and then the basement.
Yes, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
You know, it was like I got there one night and I shit you not. She's like, yeah, about a week ago, a bunch of people came like knocking on the door, pulling on the doorknob, trying to get into the house, and I'm like, I'm sleeping like 30 feet
Did
away
you say
from the door.
why?
I guess
Like
it's
looters,
it's just
or-
like vandals coming in trying to steal. Like, I guess it's a lot of kids who have nothing better to do.
So they just like get in a big group.
Yeah, and they just like
I would
loot-
hit a kid with a 2x4.
See, even then, even if it's like a group of like random kids, I feel like you could still reason with them. I get scared when it's just like I'm up here alone with like this like one group of people who's like totally secluded.
and I have been for a while.
Yeah, it's like Amish, but not by choice, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Creepy.
But see, that's the thing. It's not a lot of like that. I mean, I see what you're getting at, but it's more like
Yeah, but I'm sure if you head a bit further north in that area,
oh
start
yeah,
getting into the like.
I would
the-
say a little further south, it would be more like that.
Well, I'm thinking up more like up towards what's it called? Like the Berkshires, a bit more. That's what I'm thinking.
They're very close to. I don't want to say Dayton. Maybe it's.
I don't know the towns. I just know that area is like
somewhere in Ohio, and then they're about half an hour north. They're half an hour north of Virginia, North
Mhm.
Virginia. Is there North Virginia?
no, there's regular Virginia and West Virginia.
As a former resident, I can tell you it's just Virginia.
They're about a half an hour north of Virginia, and then they're like 40 minutes south of Pittsburgh. So it's not like too like woodsy,
Incredibly
crazy.
backwoodsy.
Yeah, I mean there is like I could take you to a bar called
See, at least
like
there's
Rinky Dinks.
yeah, there's like a bar though. You know what I mean? Like I used to for a while. Like I lived in a town like with like 100 people, and that was pretty backwoodsy and weird. But you know, it's just local. That's all. It's just
Yeah.
boring. Most people just leave eventually, or they stay there because they have like no life ambition. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just the way it works.
That's pretty much the area where my aunt's
I'm worried about like the dude who lives in a shack in the
Oh,
hills.
I know,
Like
I know.
screw that. Like I'm staying away from that guy. He
Yeah.
might be awesome. Who knows? Maybe I'm being too
They don't like
judgmental.
electricity.
I feel like we're just being judgmental and afraid of the unknown. We should be out there embracing it and learning
No,
more.
not that
Help people at car crashes, people.
I'm taking you guys there in the late fall.
Sounds like
after
you're doing
that
it by
after that
force.
story.
Yeah.
What?
You don't have a choice.
You're coming.
So, what have we learned tonight?
We've learned that the Odessa Caverns are a scary place to get lost in.
Yeah, don't
Bring
a
an
secure
extra
rope.
Bring a secure rope and
That
an extra
carabiner
flashlight.
clip you have on your backpack isn't a real carabiner.
Well,
clip. You get a real harness. Don't
Probably
do that.
says it too. If you actually
Hipsters,
read.
the carabiner you have on your keys does not help either.
Yeah, if it
But
says
it helps me keep my keys on my.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, listen, trust me, I'm with you. I have that.
yeah, if
But
it says
I can't use that.
But if you
for-
go mountain climbing,
Yeah.
you're
yeah,
fucked.
that-
if it-
I would die.
If it says Dwayne Reed on it, don't trust it for climbing.
They're not legit.
Pete,
But,
you got to keep Pete away from the backwoods.
Keep me away.
Oh wait, very, very, very quickly, Pete. Any new Tinder stuff?
Oh yeah.
Not Tinder so much. I have two people I met on OkCupid. One of whom, according to her, had to cancel our date because her friend died. But so I made a joke about it because I thought she was joking because we've been kind of joking. And then I saved it today though by bringing up Space Jam. And she had some very interesting opinions about Space Jam being anti-Semitic. Now, I'm very interested to hear this, but I refused to have her tell me via text because I was like, that shit I got to hear in person.
Well, if she writes it back to you, we should read it on the next.
No, absolutely. It's done.
Like Adrienne.
I'll let you know how the sex goes, too.
No, but seriously, he'll let us know.
No, yeah, I'll let you know. Only if you ask. Only if you. I'm kind like that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a kind lover.
Yeah, I mean we got
So
into the
gentle.
spooky stuff, but
So gentle.
good to hear. I want
Because
to.
I'm sleepy and drunk. Whenever it happens.
I can't wait to hear about the anti-Semitic Space Jam.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember the scene where, Michael Jordan dressed up as Goring and he did those medical experiments on Sylvester. But, kids ate that shit up, so I don't.
We loved it.
I
I
loved
bet
it.
Drew likes Space Jam.
I believe we
I
can
had a
fly.
Space Jam jersey.
Oh my God, you're such a.
I owned it on cassette, the soundtrack on cassette and CD.
Dude, Michael Jordan was in it. How could you not like Space Jam?
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God,
Bill
let's
Murray.
This is America.
Let's not get into this.
This is
not-
America.
Yeah. What do
We
you hate Space Jam, John? Is it like your other
I
independent
just
set?
didn't believe it. I didn't think there were enough aliens.
I believe I can fly.
Yeah, it had a great soundtrack
Yeah.
by a guy who
Hey.
peed on girls later.
Yeah, it's a guy
Come
who,
on.
hey, he had a lot in common with the guy in the story earlier. He looked at young girls and he peed on them. Maybe not through a window, but, he believed he could fly, so that's why he was in the trees. Full circle.
If that's not an American classic, I don't know what.
You know, there was a. I know we're doing the wrap up, but
Where's the wrap up music? No wrap up music this week.
I decided I'm going to spring it on you guys randomly.
oh really? Nice.
And every week it might be a new song.
Wait, what was it? It was I believe I can. There was some kind of like parody song we sung in like elementary school. It was like I believe I can fly.
Piss on you?
I believe. Maybe it was like getting something about getting raped. I don't know.
God.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't remember this rape parody song. Probably because it's not very good. I don't know.
I forgot it. I
I'm
forgot.
going to go on a limb here. There aren't that many great songs about rape. At least not parody songs. I think "Torn" by Natalie Imbruglia is about rape, kind of, but it's alluded to. It's classy.
Yeah, she doesn't just come out and say rape.
No, she's been torn,
She,
which is kind of worse now that I think about it. Don't listen to me.
All right, guys, this has been another episode of What's Up Wednesday. Follow us next week on Twitter for some Robot Jesus stuff. It's going to be awesome.
It's all we post, and it's all you'll get.
None of this stuff is cool. Joe Cool, don't believe his lies.
Do not believe Joe Cool's
Do
lies.
not believe Joe Cool's lies.
and-
Thank you for listening.
And do not believe in ghost stories, though they are fun to listen to.
They are fun to listen to. If you have your own ghost stories, we noticed.
We didn't do any ghost stories.
I
I
know.
know. Just spooky. So give us some ghost stories. Let's do some ghost stories.
If you guys have any ghost stories, we know you're just you're overflowing our comment section with just shit. So just please fill it out.
I got too much
and
to
let
sort
us know.
through.
I know, right? I mean, I've gotten like 30 emails.
slow down,
in
guys.
one
Slow
day.
down.
I have
We're only
this.
so many- we
I
do so
know.
much.
I have this huge pile of label to do, and it's all comments. I don't know why I printed them all out. I could have just read them online.
Oh,
Digital
I
age.
forgot to do that segment.
Thanks for listening, guys. This has been another episode of What's Up Wednesday.
See you next week. Bye.